Hey guys and girls, my name's Alan and today I'm going to be talking about my first impressions for Uncharted 4 multiplayer. So I've been playing the multiplayer for a couple of weeks now. I think I've got quite a good handle on it.
I'm not just another pretty face.
Okay. So I mean, first off, compared to previous games, there's a few changes obviously. So it's not quite as frantic and crazy as Uncharted 3, but it's not quite as...
the little one. Make some cute remark as I snap his neck.
Okay, it's not quite as slow paced as Uncharted 2, so it's sort of a happy medium. When I first saw all the reveal stuff, like, you know, the mysticals and all the rest of the purchasables from the in-game store, I was a bit skeptical because it did look a bit like I just didn't see it playing that well, to be honest. But you know, I've given it a chance, played a few matches now, well, quite a few matches actually, and I think it's okay. I think there's possibly a bit more balancing that could be done in terms of some of the consumables in the store, but apart from that, I think it's not as bad as I feared. There isn't a crazy amount of sidekicks running around. Well, at least not all the time. Sometimes there is, not all the time. So yeah, as I said, there could be some balancing, maybe cost-wise or duration-wise or something like that. But apart from that, I think on the whole, it's quite a fun multiplayer experience. And yeah, so don't take my word for it. I mean, by all means, play it for yourselves and see what you think. But as I said, don't judge it on first impressions. It is a little bit different in the flesh, playing it yourself rather than just seeing, you know, footage of it, you know, on the screen. So I mean, mechanics wise, there's quite a lot to learn. As I said, it's not quite as simple as Uncharted 2, and in fact, probably in terms of out of all the Uncharted multiplayer so far, it's probably one of the more complex. So there is a little bit of a learning curve, but I think once you've mastered the basics and figured out how to use the store quite effectively, I think that's most of the multiplayer nailed. So a bit of a learning curve at the start, but then it does, you know, once you've learnt that, it's okay. The fundamentals of the game are quite simple. So yeah, I mean, I come from obviously a Call of Duty background. That's where I spent a lot of time playing multiplayer, and indeed all the other previous Uncharted games. And in all those games, yeah, I mean, I guess the store is like the equivalent of kill streaks. So let's take Call of Duty for instance. You earn a score streak and then you bash a button on the controller and it calls in the score streak. Sometimes you'll need to manually target a location, or if you choose one of the higher ones, you can also control the score streak as well. So like if you're in a helicopter or whatever. But in Uncharted 4, it's slightly different. So you have to first of all equip the things that you want to use in the game, but then you have to earn cash in order to use them, which is, you know, like earning score for a score streak, which is fine. But then you have to find the time to pause somewhere in the game, like in live game, and then visit the store and then make a decision on what it is that you want to buy. As you can see on, well, conveniently enough, I just showed it on the screen. I only brought three things in this match, and the more I play, the more I realise that there's no point bringing anything more than 3. Like most of the time, I'll just be happy to bring 2 things and put the rest of the points towards boosters, because it depends on the game mode and who you're playing against. If you're ruffle stomping an enemy team, you can earn quite a lot of cash, and so you can go crazy and buy a lot of things in the store. However, if the teams are balanced, and I'm not too sure how the matchmaking works at the moment, but I feel like there's a bit of not like skill-based matchmaking, but it seems to me like some of the matches are quite well balanced. So you've got a couple of really good well, not really good players, but you've got a couple of good players and you've got a couple of players who are not so good, and then opposite team will have the same sort of setup, so they have a couple of good players and a couple of players who are not so good. So on the whole, it's quite balanced. I don't know whether that's skill matchmaking or not. They haven't said anything about it, and as I said, I don't think it feels as though it's a skill-based matchmaking sort of game. They have competitive for that, but it just feels like the teams are balanced. So I don't know, I tend to think that there might be something behind that balancing of the teams. So balancing of the teams, not necessarily of the players. What was I saying? So yeah, even though you bring a lot of stuff in the store, you don't necessarily have the cash to buy it all. So, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to figure out whether you want to bring a lot of stuff and maybe buy them all, or just bring 1 or 2 things, or in some cases 1, and then just concentrate on buying that over and over again, or if it's equipment, just, you know, maxing out as soon as possible, just using that. So yeah, equipment, as you can see, is on a recharge, and I've talked about this before in previous videos. It's no longer a pickup item. There are no pickup items at all in Uncharted 4. It's all about recharge and picking up ammo for the weapon that you've specifically brought to the match. You can create a crazy number of loadouts. They've given us 12 slots to fill, which is really nice. However, I'm a little bit annoyed the fact that you can't rename them. So obviously in Uncharted 3 you could give your loadout a name, and that's really useful because there are so many different combinations that you can make in this game. I think it's important that you should be able to rename them so that you can just quickly identify them if you want to change classes on the fly. But yeah, I guess they could always change that in the future updates. I'm hoping that will be introduced at some point. So yeah, the biggest change really, I suppose, are the sidekicks and mysticals. There's no more running anymore, which I think is a bit of a shame, but you know, it's whatever. I sort of understand why they've done it, but I feel like sometimes I feel really handicapped not being able to run, is the best way I can put it. Like if I know that enemies are going to get to a certain location, I just want to try and head them off, you know, and I just can't, because I can't move any quicker. Even if I can traverse like objects really quickly, I can't physically move any quicker to get to that location to head them off, which I think might be the reason why they've taken it out, so that like there's a bit more consistency in the way players get from A to B. But I don't know, I just feel handicapped not being able to run, because obviously in Call of Duty you'd be constantly sprinting more or less. Not a bad score so far actually. You probably can tell by the title how well I do already, but I mean it's always nice to get an update mid-game, right? What else? So I'm using the silencer, which is one of the new attachments or mods for the AK, and you can get quite a lot of different mods for pretty much all the weapons. Obviously different weapons can have slightly different variations of mods and stuff, but you got the standard ones, so extended mags, quicker reload speed, silencer, that sort of thing. There's even one for strafing speed, so in previous games you'd have a booster for that, or a perk, or whatever the hell, I don't know, depends on what game you play, and that's just basically how fast you move while you're ADSing, so you can strafe left and right. And in Uncharted 2 that's a really big thing, to strafe left and right while you're shooting an enemy player. And there was Fleet Foot, that was what it was called, that was the booster in Uncharted 2, Fleet Foot. I get crapped on there, I don't know where Elena came from, she must have been behind me, she must have come from middle map or something. So yeah, first impressions, as I say, there's a bit of a learning curve, but the more I play it, the more I am enjoying it, and I think that's because I'm gaining more knowledge. But as I said, the fundamentals of it, once you've learnt that, you know, once you've got past that opening stage of learning like the store and stuff like that, it's not too bad. And as I said, I'm having fun. Give it a few more weeks. I am a little bit disappointed about the lack of game modes. Currently I'm only really playing Plunder. This is a TDM, which I don't mind playing, but I don't really play Uncharted for TDM. That's what Call of Duty is for, in my opinion anyway. And you know, games like that, that's why I prefer to play my team deathmatch. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying Plunder. I'm getting a lot of good games. I can't wait to share some of those with you guys and girls. Command, I'm still learning Command. First impressions of that, well, I'll talk about it in another video, but I'm struggling a little bit with Command, which is fine because it gives me something, you know, to work towards, right? And that about does it for this video. So yeah, very early first impressions. I will be talking about the game a lot more as the weeks and months go by, and I imagine once the new game modes drop I'll be talking about it a hell of a lot more as well. But yeah, until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the video, consider tapping that like button, I really do appreciate it. Highlights collections will be going up on the channel, so if you fancy watching those, be sure to check them out. But until next time, take care, and I will see you later.